That way.
Yeah. 25 days.
You ready? You guys ready? All right. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Dated Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. The time is now 6:55. Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro. Trustee Hartz. Trustee Moreland.
Yeah, here.
Trustee Thomas.
Here.
Trustee Wolf.
Here.
Trustee Ah.
Here.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Here. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, does the board have any conflicts of interest to disclose at this time?
No, but I just want to reference item 4I. I talked to Attorney Goldman with the wrestling club. My children have interest in that, but it's not an item I need to recuse myself from.
Doesn't sound like any monies will go directly into their pocket.
No.
Unless they wrestle for it.
You haven't seen her kids yet.
All right. Moving on to general public input. If there is any item that is not on the agenda, please feel free to step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Hello. Phyllis Ludwig, 9205 County Road 521. I would just like to say thank you for the town and the staff for sponsoring the National Senior Citizens Day. We had a great turnout, almost all the building could hold. And we thank you for participating and recognizing that we're still around, and hopefully someday you'll be there to join us, because we plan to be there a while. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public input? We'll move on. Did everybody get a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, at this time, I would like to read a proclamation. In accordance with ADHD Month, I designate October 2023 as ADHD Awareness Month in the town of Bayfield, Colorado. Whereas ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder affecting both children and adults, it is described as a persistent or ongoing pattern of inattention or hyperactivity, impulsivity that gets in the way of daily life or typical development. And whereas individuals with ADHD may also have difficulties with maintaining attention, executive function, or the brain's ability to begin or activate, organize itself and manage tasks, and working memory. And whereas ADHD does present challenges, but among the unique characteristics of ADHD, there are both positive and negative traits. And whereas citizens of Bayfield are encouraged to learn more about ADHD to better understand our valuable community members, and whereas more information is available at the following website, ADHDawarenessmonth.org, based on peer-reviewed research. Given under my hand on this 19th day of September 2023, October is officially ADHD Awareness Month. So I'm sure that affects a lot of people in our community. Everyone probably knows someone. Next, we'll move on to our community grant request, the Four Corners Underground Wrestling Club. And I believe we can learn a little more about it today. It's so underground, I had never heard of it before.
Good evening, Mayor Tarkington and members of the board. My name is Rebecca Parnell. I am the treasurer for Four Corners Underground Wrestling Club, and this is Travis Valencia. He is our president. I don't know if you guys received our letter that we submitted with our application, kind of filling you in on the details of our club. We're newly formed. We are working on our fundraising right now, and we are seeking $500 to go towards the cost of wrestling mats. Wrestling mats, brand new, run about $12,000 to $15,000. We think we've been able to secure some used for $1,200. The $500 grant would help offset the cost of those used mats for our program.
Where are you planning on?
Yeah.
There's,
So we've already had a great response from the community. We think we're going to have quite a few kiddos. So with that, we need a pretty large space. We're working with 2 churches right now to secure space. We're planning on operating 1 to 2 nights per week.
and what's your kickoff date? When are you hoping?
We're going to interview coaches this next Monday, September 25th. And I would say within the next 30 days after we have a coach hired, we should be able to kick off.
All right. Does the board have any questions? We're asking, due to the length of this meeting, that we make a decision now
Oh,
instead
okay.
of wasting.
I don't see an
Go-
issue with it.
So I just want to hear the,
We
we still
have,
have the funds.
yeah, we still have funds for it. We've got quite a bit left still. They're legitimate business. They've registered with the state. It's a good thing for the kids in the community. I don't have any other comments.
All right, then I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the $500 community grant request for Four Corners Underground Wrestling Club.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you so
We
much.
appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
All right. We need to look at the September 5th work session attendance and just make sure that that is correct. And if so, we'll need a motion to approve the work session roster as provided.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the September 5th work session roster as provided.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas, Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. And did everybody get a chance to review the minutes from September 5th, from the regular meeting minutes?
Yep.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes dated September 5th, 2023.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
Wait,
right.
Wait. So back on the attendance for the work session on 9/5, I just noticed something. That the Board of Trustees is listed twice, and once is all the people that work for the
Oh.
town, and one is the trustees.
Okay, so just change that to staff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just,
All right, this is a simple
sorry, I
change.
just
Thank
saw
you.
it, or I would have brought it up before.
Do we need to re-motion that, or can we just?
It's
just
up to you.
We'll just note that,
Yeah.
just to fix it, okay.
It's just a-
All right, moving on to our Public Works Director report. Jeremy?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, trustees. I did prepare a report for August. It looks like we're staying on track for locates in the month of August. We had about 40, which is normal. We're seeing an uptick this month. We do have LPEA is wanting to do some work in town, and so we're seeing some of those requests for utility locates come in for main replacement. We did have a water leak at Eagle Park. In August, Public Works was able to get it shut off on the weekend. I think it was a Friday afternoon, 8, and we've made the repair on Monday. We get parts available. We did have a couple more incidents, mostly sewer service strikes with the fiber installations. We've been seeing those, but we're seeing those come down quite a bit. We've been working closely with Clear Networks and Deeply Digital. The nutrient removal and diffuser replacement, we had bid opening. We did get acceptable complete bid from TKF for $292,375, which is within our budget. So that's going to come up later as far as for potential award of that project. Stormwater, irrigation still on. Water restrictions are still in effect through October 1st. What else? The surface treatment was done. Mill Street striping is scheduled from Branson Roadworks for this Sunday. We've had a few negative feedback complaints as far as for closing on Sunday. Some of the restaurants with breakfast customers, so it's not 100% favorable for everybody, but we're working with Branson to make reasonable accommodations as to not impact their business. And yeah, that's kind of all I got. We did change the sewer plant flow data for the daily inflows. We changed it to a line chart instead of a bar graph. I don't know if it makes sense either way, but any input on that, we would be happy to hear. You got any questions?
I know it's not our thing, but what are they doing right there at Outdoorsy? That doesn't have anything to do with the work that they got to do on the other
It's
side.
a culvert underneath the highway.
That is the culvert, okay.
That is-
Yeah,
that's what I
and
thought.
we also do have Alpine Enterprises is installing a flume on the sewer line over there, so we will be able to quantify the actual impact for the collection system. I don't know if Danny's over there yet. He was supposed to be staging this week, so.
Well, that's way less disruptive than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, me
so
too. I
that's-
thought it was gonna be totally closed down.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
All right, any questions for Jeremy?
Nope.
Thank you, Jeremy. Chief Hoagay, would you like
Good
to give the
evening,
highlights
Mayor.
of your report?
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and town manager. We had a busy month on August.
You want to get the microphone only because we're trying to pick it up on the recording. Thank you.
We had a busy month in August, a lot of meetings throughout the county, getting out and meeting a lot of people. Most notable was I met with the Bayfield School District employees on August 7th. I had breakfast with all the teachers and all the faculty and staff and was introduced to all of them. It was a real good meet and greet with all of them. We started doing our Heritage Day planning with the group, and everything I think is coming to order now and looking like it's going to be a really good event. I was nominated for the ETSA, so now I'm part of their board. I'll start attending all their meetings now. We also started a regional executive law enforcement group for all the Four Corners area, and that's for information sharing between all law enforcement agencies. So we're now a part of that, and we'll be doing quarterly meetings, and then we're also reaching out to each other on a daily basis if need be for crime stats and crime assistance and everything like that. We had the bicycle rally come through town on August 30th and September 1st. So we had day 3 and day 5 come through town. There's no incidents for us to note. We just kind of monitored as they went through. We also prepared an incident action plan with La Plata County, Colorado State Police for the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally. We also had a group that was in contact with each other 24 hours a day, a text group, making sure we all knew what was going on throughout the entire event. I'm glad to say Bayfield was unaffected, and there really was not anything towards the eastern half of the county that was really affected our area. So it was really a great event for us to, it didn't turn out to any incidents, so that was good for us. All right, we did have one use of force. One of our officers had to chase a suspect. Both of the officers took him into custody, but the taser was deployed, but it was not utilized. The guy was arrested and charged with possession of controlled substance. They found a lot of fentanyl on him. If we go down to calls for service, you'll see a big change between 2022 and 2023. That is basically because of the way we amended how we're doing pawns now. So you're going to take out about 200 calls for service or incidents because we have redone and we are now in compliance with the state law better. So we don't have to do what we were doing previous to that. So that's why the call difference is so drastic. We amended to make it, we streamlined it to make it better. The IGA with La Plata County for the Traffic Enforcement Authority is here. It's been forwarded for review so we can get it, make sure it's all legal for us to do. But once that's signed, it'll give us the Traffic Enforcement Authority that we had talked about at a previous meeting, which allows us to get 501 fully in town. And it allows us to get 160 fully from Bayfield Parkway to Bayfield Parkway, where we're not really allowed to do it right now. But we'll have all that with this IGA. We'll be able to better provide traffic enforcement safety for our community. And that's it.
All right. Any questions? All right.
Any bites on your vacant positions?
Yes, we do have a test coming up next week. We have one coming local, and then we have one coming in from Kentucky that wants to take the test as well. One's really well known with some of the officers in our department, so they're speaking highly of him. The other one is no law enforcement experience, but he used to be a professor at Ohio State University and all this other stuff, so he's trying to transition to getting, I guess, the law enforcement bug. but he wants to live out in this area and everything like that. So we do have some. We had a couple others that applied, and then when we did some initial backgrounds on them, we had to get rid of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Nicole, your Community Development Director
Yes.
report.
Good evening. So a couple things. First one, our comprehensive plan. This is our town's long-range plan. We've been working on it with the working group, and we've had a bunch of special speakers from all over the state come and speak to the group over the last year. So we're wrapping that up. The public review draft will go on the website. It's actually October 3rd, not September 21st, at that link, and there'll be a place where community members can leave comments if they have any comments or suggestions on that draft, and then hoping to have it in front of the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees for your November meetings. Growing Water Smart Metrics. This is the Sonoran Institute. They offered 2 communities in Colorado technical assistance for a year. We did apply for that, and we were one of the 2 chosen. And so we will be utilizing their expertise as well as the Brendel Group for a year, and they're really trying to customize it to what our needs are in the community and what our desires are, what we want to get out of it. So hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll have a better outline of what that's going to look like, and there will be a public component to that, possibly some workshops or some other community involvement. But really what we want to see is some policies on what types of water smart landscaping we should be encouraging our community to use, how we want to make sure we're tying our land use decisions to our water, specifically when we're having a lot more drought years. So more to come on that, but that's going to be a year-long process, and it was free. So we're happy to have them help us. The Pine River Commons, you all received in your mailbox, and I did email you. It's the groundbreaking for that project. So it's a total of 66 deed restricted units, so workforce housing for our community that the developer just wanted to put in. There was no town requirements for it, as well as some commercial uses on the property. This is the old Haga property. You'll see some big pipe out there. They're getting ready to bury the Schroeder ditch into a pipe. So that's going to be starting soon. But their groundbreaking is on October 3rd at 3 p.m. out at the site, so everyone's invited. And it has been legally noticed so that the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees can all attend if you wish. And in terms of grant updates, so Strong Communities, I'm just going to continue with this Pine River Commons project. You know, we applied for Cinnamon Heights as our priority project. We were not able to meet the match requirements. Just a quick heads up, you know, the state's really encouraging land banking, but the grants are not. And so because we've purchased the Cinnamon Heights over a year ago, we don't qualify to use that as our match. So therefore, we did not qualify to apply for that. But there's some other grants that have been introduced to me that hopefully we can continue to get some funding for that project. But the Pine River Commons project qualifies. And so we did just hear this week that we have our pre-application interview for their project at the end of October. And so they're asking for $1.2 million for infrastructure so that they can keep those units at a deed restricted 80 to 120 AMI for our workforce housing in the community. So that's pretty exciting. The pre-application meeting will just determine if we're invited to apply for that grant or not. And the town is supporting that. It has to be a municipality, a government agency for this grant, so we need to be the sponsor, but we won't be, it'll just be staff time on it. We won't be paying for any of the match or anything like that. Excuse me. The 160 pedestrian crossing, that's moving quite slow with SEH because we have them also on our signal, but we are moving those 2 along. There'll be more on the signal project later this evening. Revitalizing Main Street grant, we asked for an extension on that grant because we did add some additional scope to that project, which required some geotech, and that took a while. Geotech's taking a long time right now. And so that's pushed us back on schedule, and I have not heard yet if we were able to get that extension, but we don't foresee that. Hopefully we don't get denied on that extension, I guess is a good way to say that.
The tag grant, we still haven't received our notice to proceed, but they told us 4 to 6 months for that one, and that's the 2 million that we got for Cinnamon Heights infrastructure. We're gonna be working on an RFP, for a builder partner, on that project very soon. And then, the congressionally directed spending, which, Mayor Tarkington had asked earlier. So we're still in the process of waiting for that one. We asked for 3 million of congressionally directed spending for the Bayfield East intersection. This is that new signal that's gonna go on the east side, by the Conoco gas station. And right now, we've heard that, Congresswoman Boebert is supporting 1.5 million for that project. But we won't know until the budget is approved and, the president signs that. And then just last and least, the Community Development Department will be closed starting on this Friday, the 22nd, until October 2nd. And that's because that's Cabrini Day, and then returning on October 3rd. And that's just me. So I'm going to be out for a week. So the department will be closed in case the public's interested.
All right, any questions for Nicole? Thanks, Nicole. Amber Lamb, HR Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees. I just wanted to give you an update on our staffing. So we're still looking to hire a parks maintenance position. Full-time parks maintenance person. We're still looking, Chief Hoday filled you in on the police department staffing. On August 28th, John House and Connor Lurch were onboarded for our public works department. So they're fully staffed now. This morning I completed the onboarding for DJ Pacheco, who's our new rec coordinator, and he's very excited to join the team. Okay, can you hear me? Test, test. Yeah, so he's super excited to hit the ground running. Our new timekeeping system that you guys approved has been implemented, and everybody's trained on it. And some upcoming dates, we have a blood drive scheduled on October 19th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Joe Stevenson Park. So if you guys want to attend that, let me know. And then we're having a chili cook-off for town staff on October 26th at the Senior Center.
What time is that one?
I don't know. The chili cook-off. What time?
I think we're doing it between 11 and 1, aren't we?
11 and 1.
So can you tell me more about that? Does everybody bring their best chili?
Yeah.
Everybody brings their best chili, that way we'll see who's got the best, because a lot of us live in or come from different parts of the country, and everybody makes chili differently. So I always used to host it at my house, but since I moved up here, I live in an apartment, so I got with her to try to host it here. So we're able to get a lot more people involved and share stories, share our favorite recipes. And
Yep, so I'll send out more info, but
Okay.
yeah, that's upcoming.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to our liquor license action agenda. We have a renewal for EPAs.
Is it EPAs or Honks?
EPAs.
So in the notes, it just happens to, probably in error, it says Hong's Garden, but it is for EPA's liquor license renewal.
That's corrected on the digital version.
Yeah.
Not the one I'm looking at.
All right, and
It's corrected in the subject line, but not in the review piece.
it looks like they have all of their ducks in a row.
Yep.
So if there are no questions,
And no issues were reported.
okay. I would entertain a motion to approve EPA's liquor license renewal.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the EPA's beer and wine license renewal.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our financial action agenda. Do we have any public input pertaining to items 4A through H on our packet, on our agenda? All right, seeing none, we will move on.
Oh, you have a hand up.
Will you just please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Katie O'Hare, and my address is 4141 County Road 334 in Ignacio. This thing has a mind of its own. My business is The Stable Life, and I'm sure you saw on the agenda today. We were doing carriage rides. We're supposed to be doing carriage rides for the 4th of July parade. After the parade anyways, and I was told that we needed to buy or pay for a business license, which is $200. I have the check stub right here. But we never actually got to do carriage rides because I was promised that we would have a vendor spot. And when we arrived to the park, there was no vendor spot, no volunteers knew what was going on, nobody knew where we were supposed to go. I tried to get carriage and horse in a spot that I thought would be working well, but with the crowds and then the kiddie train showed up, there was no place for me to do carriage rides. So I didn't actually have an opportunity to do what I had paid for a spot to do. And so I respectfully asked for a refund. I was denied, however, via email, and I would appreciate the board and the mayor's input on this. I paid for something, it was not given to me, and so, as I said before, I just respectfully request a refund.
So you paid for the $200 street vendor fee
Yes, ma'am.
and the business license.
Yes, ma'am.
And the problem was, you're saying there was not a spot for you?
There was nothing for me, and when I asked multiple volunteers if they could point me to said spot, nobody knew where I was supposed to be. I had checked in with the parade registration people at the very beginning of the day, like 7:30, and asked, do I have a spot? They said I did. I asked them where exactly it was, and they said, well, just check in with somebody over at the park at the end of the parade, and they'll be able to put you in the right spot. And no one could.
I mean, I'm looking at the email chain, and it's saying that you were given a space number, and they gave you a double space number, so that's...
Nobody could point me to it, and there was nothing like on the ground for me to see. There was no sheet of paper saying X marks the spot, here's where you need to be. There was nothing. And again, I asked multiple people if they could point me in the right direction, and no one could.
Did you take people on rides?
I really couldn't. I tried going over to Mill Street here because they had the barriers up, and as soon as I had to go all the way around. As soon as I finally got there, they pulled the barriers up, and so there was traffic in there. So there was no way for me to safely do rides as well.
Why not the track?
I'm sorry?
Why not the track? Because that's where
I
the
was
agreement.
supposed to be.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So why didn't you go on the track?
I couldn't go on the track. At first, there was the kiddie train there. Then there was a bunch of people just milling around. It was chaos. And I've got a 2,000-pound animal that wasn't really happy with not having a set spot for him to just stand. So after a while, I was like, this is just going to be a disaster. So I got him out of there. And like I said, we went over to Mill Street, but by that time, they pulled the barriers and there was traffic. So I had no place to conduct business that I had paid for to do.
I mean, is there any staff that can...
So I'm the
about-
one that denied this request for a refund, and I went back to staff, and actually Dustin and I were in purple vests or in Bayfield vests in that area throughout that time, and I was back and forth between the park and the street. I never ran into anybody that was looking for a booth. In fact, I assisted some other people that were in the park that were concerned about some booth space. But I do not recall the carriage. I remember the carriage in the parade because we were there. But all staff members said that we did our due diligence to make sure everybody got put where they needed to be.
Do we provide people when they apply and get approved a map of where they're going to be?
So this application was basically just a couple days before the event.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption is that Andrea Carroll, who was a staff member at the time, said that she did everything she could to make sure everybody got everything. But keep in mind that late date, as far as she can remember, she did everything she could to get the information to all the vendors and parade entries.
I have the check right here for the
Mhm.
There are literally
That's why I'm kind of
thousands people
shocked that we would allow a horse to ride through.
And I both checked in vendors, and all vendor spots were pre-marked, and we directed everybody that showed up to the gate to those spots. I don't remember.
So I came to the gate that morning at 7:30, and we were told to park the carriage over on the far west side of the, where all the softball fields and the arena is. And then we had other people coming in, because I had 3 floats in the parade that day, so I was doing a lot of logistics. And we were told, no, we need to get the carriage out, and then we needed to go over to behind the school, the old middle school where all the other horses were. So we had a double back
Was that for
carriage.
the parade or for your?
That was for
vendor spot?
the parade, and they were told afterwards to go not back where we had originally come in, but to go past that and then go up to the track, and somebody would direct us then. So of course, it's chaos, I understand, I get it.
And that's where we were
Crazy.
located, was right there at the entrance to the track, to the
But
soccer
there,
field. Where all
and
the
there's a
vendor
tent right
spots.
there, and the
Yep.
table and chairs, and no one was there when we went by, and we went right after the parade. So we literally just got out of the parade, came back, snaked our way back through, came up there was no one there. I had people in the carriage with me, I have witnesses, because we were looking around going, okay, now where do we go? And I didn't know exactly where around the track we were supposed to set up. I figured there would be a vendor spot somewhere. I was never given anything email-wise, any kind of map, any vendor number, especially when we checked in with the carriage earlier that morning, of where to go afterwards. So,
We did have a list that we checked with
Mhm.
vendors that came in. I don't know if we still have that list or not, but.
So I did see the list, and as far as we can tell, that we did everything we were supposed to do. And if for some reason somebody wasn't at the tent, it was just a matter of waiting. I mean, not only is it chaos for the public, but staff is also going different directions. And I think we did all that we were intended to do. June 30th was a Friday. We're closed. We were only open for 3 hours on that Friday, and the town hall was closed until the 5th of July. So it was a late entry. But from Andrea's perspective, we did everything we could to get a late entry in based on that request.
I'd like to mention I did wait at that tent for a while, and no one came, and so I figured, well, I'm just sitting here, might as well keep moving and try to find a spot and ask volunteers along the way to see if anybody could point me in the right direction. And nobody knew either A, that we were even supposed to be there, or B, where to actually go to set up.
I mean, I'm looking at the back and forth. I feel like there's a couple different stories being told here. I mean, I think it is unfortunate. I do think it was a late entry, and I think this might have been rethought. I just kind of don't see where it's safe to have a horse running through that crowd, to be honest. So I don't know, had we had a little more time to think this through, I don't know that we would have let you out on the track.
So we were very clear that we could not discriminate against any applicant. There were if you may remember, there was a float that the public wanted us to not let in, and so we were very clear that we were not to discriminate from any entry.
I'm not talking about the parade.
Yeah,
I'm talking
okay.
about the afterwards
Yeah.
as a vendor.
Yeah.
It's a mobile vendor. I mean, we wouldn't let our food trucks circle around. I'm just,
Let the kitty train go.
Kitty train was going.
yeah,
on.
the kitty,
And
yeah.
that's another thing that was kind of irritating was like we both couldn't share the track together. At first, there wasn't a spot for me to set up to actually take on carriage passengers, but then also there's no room on the track crossing each other with the kitty train as well. So I think that needed to be thought out a little bit more of, well, you've got at least one person on the track, and now we have a whole bunch of other people, and now we're gonna put a carriage on it, and especially one that doesn't even know where it needs to set up, like, it was not good. It wasn't very helpful.
I mean, I think it's just an unfortunate event, and we don't have that employee to even,
Ask the questions.
but I mean, I just wish you would have stuck around and kind of figured it out instead of,
I mean, I
packing up
tried to,
and.
but I figured that was
on the north side of the track there.
I'm sorry.
It's, in your emails, it says you were supposed to be on the north side of the tracks, that's the playground area, and you're saying there was no space there? Trying to remember what that looked like, and all the
Yeah,
vendor,
there were
the
all the
tents were
vendors, yeah.
inside,
Yeah.
inside the track area.
Bunch of vendors on that side, and then a bunch of crowds coming in from Mill Street. Everybody was coming over, the bench was over that way. So tons of people, no spot. I had one of my riders get out and actually look on the ground and just see, is like, are there a number painted, or is there just, you know, carriage rides here, anything? And there was nothing.
Fine. I don't know, what's consensus, what's the feeling of the board? I mean, we have town staff saying that they were pretty adamant on
But
trying to accommodate.
I could
and-
also see her trying to do this. I mean, I've been at those events. It's very hard to get to a person. You know, I almost feel like at the initial approval for her to be there, that these things should be discussed. Her lot space, where it's located. That way she knows and understands
And do you know
it.
if, because that application deadline is the 30th, I mean, it came in before, while someone was here?
It must have been, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I was told that Andrea explained everything to her, or to whoever was here. From what I understand, it wasn't Katie, it was somebody else that was here, and explained what was going on.
I mean, if you have something, you have to come up to the microphone, the podium, if you want to add something. I don't want to sit and dwell on this. We have a big agenda, but I would,
Right, so I was the one that brought in the check, and I spoke with a gentleman who was very professional and very pleasant, but he didn't really know what was going on either. I didn't feel like, so the two of us were just like, okay, she needs a business license because she's running a carriage here, but it turns out Colorado law says carriages don't need a business license, they can run wherever. So I didn't know that, he didn't know that. We paid the fee, then there's no space for it, it was double booked with a train, it was not a good idea, and then it was a bunch of pedestrians. So it wasn't well thought out, and then we tried, I was there too when she came back around, I tried to hold spaces over here on Mill Street for her to be able to pick up and drop off passengers. But then the old cars were supposed to actually be designated that spot, so we couldn't stay there either. So then we just went, you know what, now it's just with the street running and people are kind of just dispersing, it doesn't make sense to stay. So we were there until I think it was 1 o'clock. It wasn't very long.
There's an email from Andrea here in this chain that says she has provided space number 28, that Ryan and Andrea had discussed her vendor entry at length, and then she has not made any promises other than reserving the space and using of the track. And we also let her know that the Lions Club Kitty Train would also be using the track as they have every year.
Right, and I was not, and we were not informed of that until he actually go afterwards. Yeah, like to actually do the rides. And I had actually brought in the carriage at 7:30 in the morning, and I passed a group of volunteers at that table, and no one stopped me, so I dropped off the carriage and then went to the area to go next piece because we were coordinating several things. No one stopped me, so then I found out later that no one is allowed to stage there. We're supposed to stage over behind the middle school. So again, volunteers were not coordinating and were not communicating with people in the very beginning before it got crazy. So then when she went to actually conduct the rides, then it is crazy. So I guess we have anything to put through the cracks there, but we never received anything about the space number, never got the map, never got any pointers even verbally of where to actually go. And the gentleman that I spoke to when I dropped off the fee, he said that we would be emailed the business license, or mailed, I think he said mailed the business license, thinking that was June 30th. So I said, how's that gonna work with, are we getting it before the 4th of July, do we have to present it?
it'll be in our system, but I mean, I think this is a huge oversight on our end. I mean, I think when we have our
Yeah.
meeting about 4th of July, we're gonna sit and talk about this, because I just don't see where, I would love to have carriage rides for the kids, I just think there needs to be a better place for it.
Right. I will say on the license piece, that's a requirement for us as the town of Bayfield. It may not be a state requirement, but we require them to be licensed. So I can't see refunding a license fee, to be honest with you.
I feel like since I wasn't able to conduct a business, I should have that refunded.
But it's good for the whole year, and then you can go, there's Heritage Days coming up.
I'm in the parade, but I actually am slated to go over to Cowboy Parade and do that one as well. So again, I think it's just a matter of principle. I paid wasn't able to. So again, I'm respectfully requesting that I get the refund.
I was just referencing item 8, the application is your agreement to join, and if you experience the loss,
That's
the
the vendor.
signature.
But what is it to be in the
Sorry,
parade
my
only?
chair. Held the town harmless on that, and like I said, I think it's very unfortunate.
And do you have to have a
Um,
license for that?
Excuse me for interrupting. I think I totally agree with that. If I set up for a business and I don't actually make anything, that's not on you guys. However, I wasn't able to set up for business. There wasn't a spot available for me to set up for that I paid for. So again, if I set up for business and I paid to get that spot and I don't have any customers, well then that's not on you at all. But I paid for a spot that was not given.
Katie, can you break down the fee that she paid in its entirety for me?
So from what I understand, there was $35 business license, 25, I think one of these is a parade fee, and $175 for a booth fee. And,
Which I spoke about this in the email, we wrote the check out for 200 flat. So I'm not quite sure what happened with, I know the $35 fee was actually from Farm Bureau. That was paid for that float, that was a completely separate check.
this is Andrea's email. I'm not too sure. So maybe she confused the $35 as part of this fee. But if it's $25, the business license fee is,
Was 175?
no,
That's the
35 business.
The business
Oh,
license
business
fee, yeah.
is
35.
35, and the vendor is $175 for the booth that she selected.
And unfortunately, we just have no way, none of us were there to experience it, to see if that space was occupied by somebody else, or if people were
Well,
there.
I mean,
or-
I can only imagine what it was,
Yeah.
the aftermath of the parade. But
Yep.
I mean,
So the parade fee, though, was $25 for everybody else? Is that correct?
Pay that parade, the carriage was under a different.
So if it's $200 flat, then and I don't have any record of what was paid for. All I know is that this is what Andrea gave me.
Okay.
So we have $175 as the application for the vendor entry based on the booth size that she wanted.
Which, if it was a booth, I'm guessing, was it supposed to be a tent, or it's just a piece of ground?
yeah,
It's
it's
a
for
piece
that
of
size.
ground.
Piece of ground,
And
yeah.
that piece of ground was supposed to be marked?
Yes.
28?
But like I said, I know that there was trucks that brought in a trailer. It was a little bit bigger than they stated it was going to be for the vendors. I get that. But I mean, at this point, I don't know what the rest of the board feels like, but I would be comfortable refunding the 175 and rethinking this entire conversation for next
Yes.
4th of July.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of under the same, that's why I was trying to ask the fees, because there is a $25 parade fee to be a part of the parade, and you did get to take advantage of that. And that's why I'm okay with 175, just,
Well, here's the deal, the parade.
I don't,
the carriage was
I don't want to
under
argue
float, and
about it.
wasn't paid for by me.
That,
So I don't wanna chip you out of any money
Yeah.
here. All I'm saying is, we paid $200 for just a business license. The, carriage.
you didn't
was
attend
paid
the
for.
parade?
I did, but it was actually.
That
for
was
the
rolled,
carriage
sorry,
float.
So you got the parade, the business license, and and the vendor fee for $200 when you came to that was the intention, right? No, that was the intention for you to get all three.
No, the intention was just to do the vendor fee for the carriage. The carriage was.
Did you
already
attend the
actually-
parade?
Yes, I did. Can I
Okay.
just finish? Because the parade was for the GOP. The carriage is actually used under the GOP float. So they paid that fee. I did not pay anything for the parade. I just paid for the business fee, the business license fee, which was $200.
So the business license is 25, and your vendor's fee was 175, so it's 200 total.
That was the 200.
Yes, that's where the 175 number that Brendan was willing to, yeah, because the business license, you need to have that, it's in the system, I don't feel that's something we should refund. Or maybe we, since we don't know the whole situation, I would be, open to, maybe splitting the difference on the 175. Just a
Well,
thought, but
I mean,
those-
it's up,
I think we just refund the 175.
So I would entertain a
There's clearly
motion.
we're sharing
Okay.
in this, right? We missed as a town. We need to revise our plans going forward. We should have never allowed your float to be in there, especially when you delivered the application on the 30th, cut and dry. We need to change that moving forward. I don't think we take complete onus. I don't think you take complete onus, right? So I think we refund it, and I think
I would
everybody's.
entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to refund, sorry, I forgot your name,
One.
Katie O'Hare, $175 for her 4th of July application and vendor's fee.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Marlin,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Thanks for your time.
How do we go forward from here?
You talked to staff.
Yeah, did you write your, well, we have all your information.
We have an
We'll-
application.
Yeah, we'll get a hold of you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to our August financial statements.
I'm asking you to table that tonight because you don't have an accurate
Oh.
financial statement.
All right, motion to table.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to table the August 2023 financial statements.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Marlin,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, we've got sales tax is in your packet. Kathy, did you have anything to add to that?
I don't. It's still trending.
Flat-ish?
Flattish?
All right, any questions on that?
No.
We'll move on to our police department body camera systems. You have a special packet for that?
Oh, yeah. Where are you, packet?
Due to the passing of Senate Bill 217, which requires law enforcement to wear body-worn cameras on all interactions, our systems are subpar here. They barely don't even make compliance with the Senate bill. So we had to, Lieutenant Tischer, when he was here, was in charge. He did some research and was able to get a grant for $25,500 to go towards us getting in compliance with Senate Bill 217. After some research, he went and decided to go with utility. So when I took over, I researched utility as well and found out it to be better than WatchGuard and Axon, in my opinion, and in his, as we proceeded forward. I also reached out to WatchGuard and they did submit a bid for all the equipment as well. They were a lot higher, plus they didn't charge, or they didn't bill us for installs. So we had to go out and find an installation company to install all their equipment. Axon did not respond, but due to doing research of our tasers last week, I was able to get in contact with our rep, and he is going to send us a bid for the 8 vehicles. That is part of the requirement that we have from the other 2 bids as well. What we are running into that we were discussing earlier is that utility, we do not own any of the gear. It is all part of the service agreement. So that would be an operational cost. Whereas if we go with WatchGuard or Axon, all the equipment is owned by us, and there's still a service agreement for repair and upgrades. But we do own all the equipment. So that would be a CIP then. I think Kathy is still researching if utility can be considered a CIP or not. We haven't had an answer on that yet, so we are still waiting for Axon to give us their quote as well, so we can also make an educated decision on which system would be best for our officer safety and to be in exact compliance with Senate Bill 217.
So it's a little over $100,000 expenditure, and maybe we wait till Axon submits a bid or a quote, so at least you have the three to make a decision on. You know, we are running into this. We have capital improvement revenue that we can spend it on, and operations is really suffering. So, you know, we're kind of at that point where, you know, maybe it would be good to see Axon's quote before you make a decision.
And we already have some Axon equipment that we are utilizing, which would then blend into our current evidence system, because the TASER stuff that we utilize is all Axon equipment and evidence room stuff. So we already have some of that equipment, so Axon would blend in better with that. Whereas utility, it is all digital, and we didn't need to have anything extra for them. That's why they were a little bit lower than the other companies, is because everything is a service agreement. But yeah, we're still waiting on them. So and the review from Kathy and to combat the auditor.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like we'll just
Table this.
till we have our third quote.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll make a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to table the police department body camera system quote decision.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee Thomas?
Yes.
Trustee Wolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ah?
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington?
Yes. All right, police department vehicle equipment.
We just purchased the 2021 Dodge Durango, and it is in service now. Which rotated one of the police trucks into being a patrol truck. We did not design it to be a patrol truck when we got the estimates for all the equipment to get installed with it. So now that it's going to be moved into patrol, it needs a cage in the back for transport of subjects safely. And that cost for the cage is $5,346. That was not part of the bid due to the fact that we did not plan on using that vehicle in patrol. But now, with the purchase of the Dodge Durango, we're going to move that into an administrative vehicle. And what it needs for equipment security is a trunk box, which comes in at $3,600. That's why the equipment that is being hauled by the officer is secured, it's locked, and if anybody breaks in the car, they can't get to that equipment. So those are the two things that are being requested: the cage for the patrol truck and a lockbox for the Durango. And those weren't part of the estimates in the beginning because we did not anticipate having the Durango come into service this quick.
And how much did you save on that vehicle from?
We purchased the vehicle for $31,850 instead of, and that
40.
comes mostly equipped, instead of, the sergeant and I did numbers today. If you buy a patrol truck for 52 and you put $15,000 worth of new equipment into it, and plus we're looking at purchasing radars and other things, I mean, the vehicles start getting expensive. When we did the research on the Dodge Durangos going through Kansas Highway Patrol, we can buy one from them with 49,000 miles on it for $32,000 and completely outfitted for the road, less than $25,000, so we only have $55,000 into a patrol vehicle that'll last us 5 to 7 years. So we save, in the long run, per vehicle, instead of buying brand-new vehicles, about $30,000 to $35,000.
So those two invoices total together are $8,978.01. There is room in the capital improvement, just like we looked at our work session, to purchase that. I'm sorry I didn't put it on the agenda, but that's the amount.
Well,
Okay, so
We
2
need-
truck vaults and a roll cage, is that correct? Am I,
yeah, for $8,978.01.
sorry. So the 2 trucks both need cages, right? Because we have 2 trucks, right? So they both need cages and truck boxes, and then the Durango needs a truck box?
Truck box and a cage.
Just one truck needs a cage, and then the Durango needs a lockbox for the trunk.
So a cage
Okay.
and a lockbox.
And what about the other truck? Is it going to need?
It's all done.
Eventually
It's all
too?
done.
Oh,
You already approved that
okay,
months
sorry, I
ago.
can't keep track of all these
I
changes.
agree.
Okay.
Yep.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the police department's vehicle equipment for a cage and lockbox totaling $8,978 and a penny.
We have a motion.
Second.
All right, and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee Thomas?
Yes.
Trustee Wolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ah?
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington?
Yes. Moving on to the Humvee repairs.
First of all, I'd like to apologize for this one. I went through, when we looked at the Humvee back in May and June, it needed a lot of repairs to get it roadworthy, so we kind of made a decision, let's see if we can auction it off. So I reached out to Lieutenant Tischer. He said, you need to contact the one agency you got it through. And I asked him if it was DOLA. He goes, I don't know, it might have been. So I contacted DOLA, and I was advised, if you own anything over 5 years, it's yours. I said, okay, great, this is what we have. She goes, yep, you had it 9 years, you can sell it. So then I talked to Public Works about the auctioning and how we got all the equipment. I reached out and I researched as much as I possibly could to make sure I was doing this right. And every answer I got was yes, yes, yes. I did memos, I did everything like that to make sure I was doing it right. So we auctioned it off, and then the first week of August, I got an email, kind of like a nasty email from the Colorado State auditors, and they said, we need an audit of all the equipment you have of ours. I went, okay, didn't know anything about that. So they gave me the login, they gave me everything like that, and so as soon as I logged in, I found the 2 pistols we had, I found the 11 gun sights we had, and there was the Humvee. So I was told I had to go recover the Humvee. So myself and a Public Works worker went to Gallup, Texas. We recovered the Humvee, and we brought it back. But in the meantime, all the repairs we did not want to do on the Humvee to avoid those costs, the new owner did. So, yeah, it has all new tires, it has all new ignitions, it has all new lights, it has all new, it runs really good now.
We're putting that sucker in the parade, that's for sure.
We're going to now.
It's an expensive parade vehicle.
But everything we tried to avoid to do, he did, and when I when I picked it up and brought it back, we needed to refund him his money. So I did get all the receipts. I got all the receipts, everything like that from him, and verified everything, and that's what the cost was $6,273.
And so we're stuck with that thing? We cannot sell it, auction it, we can't?
Well, they sent me another letter that I'm suspended for 90 days of talking to them about stuff. So it's fine, I don't want to talk to you at all anyway.
Seriously?
But as soon as I can reach out to...
Jeremy, can you talk to somebody?
Well, it's not even the company he deals with, it's a different one we found out. So all the equipment he gets, it was through a different one.
Yeah.
Although he got it the same day the previous marshal got everything.
So keep in mind that, a lot of this was just information that was kept in the marshal's office and really never shared. We may have known, tidbits of what was going on. I think I even asked the question, isn't that one of those federal vehicles? But, I assume that, those other departments would have caught that. So, I appreciate that, this is kind of an embarrassing $6,300 to spend, but I think we've all learned our lesson to be a little more diligent.
Well, hopefully we can sell it with the addition
Someday.
of the upgrades we've done at some point.
Well, it seems like the problem is we can't sell it, though.
Well, he's got to be able to talk to them to ask them
Yeah,
and
I
get
will. I
permission
can-
and all that jazz.
I can
But-
email
Maybe
Dominic
tell them that,
next
here,
week.
come get it. This is what it's gonna cost you. Okay, well.
That's a bummer.
That is a
All right,
big
any
bummer.
other questions on this topic?
No. All right, how do I make this?
We just make a motion to approve this $62,73.69
Okay.
reimbursement.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve paying the gentleman that fixed the Humvee $6,273.69.
Let me add, it's Neil Butler on the invoice.
All right, we have a motion and a
I
second.
said second.
All right.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee Thomas?
Yes.
Trustee Wolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ah?
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. SGM change order request.
This is me. So this is a request from SGM. We hired SGM to do the Cinnamon Heights engineering. And when they got into the engineering for the stormwater, they realized that they actually had to redo all of the calculations for the entire subdivision, not just our portions of the property, just because whoever engineered it back in 2006 or whenever it was, the calculations were no longer able to work for the entire project. So they ended up spending $7,500 more than what they expected for that project, and are requesting a change order to cover those expenses to get the stormwater engineering to where we need it to be in order to construct the project. So this would be coming out of the housing fund, which is what we've been using for the Cinnamon Heights project.
So my question is whether or not this final change order is the last change to the contract amount, because this is the second time they've come back to us.
We
for a
had,
change.
last time we had to add the phase one environmental. So that wasn't, it was
really
an
them.
addition, but it was because of the grants that we received.
Okay.
We were required to do a phase one environmental for that piece. And
I
so
just
we
hate it when they come back.
So does our engineer always tell us after the fact that they're going over budget by $7,500? I mean, that
can't-
seems a little
yeah.
absurd. I think they should have told us well before they got to that point.
I can't argue with that one, but they got
Maybe
into
we should
it
be telling
and
the engineer to knock this off.
Yeah.
I mean, they're our town engineer and they're doing this to us?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got a word for this, but I'm not allowed to use it in this meeting.
Yeah, it's like as much work as we're sending their way, I think they'd be better budgeters. Because phase ones aren't that expensive.
So the question is this a request or a demand?
it's a request because they know they've already spent the money.
And how much business do we do with them?
A lot.
A lot.
Do they do this all the time? I don't remember.
This happens to be the engineer, it's out of Grand Junction. Our other local engineer has been really good. This somehow just got passed. They're the stormwater people in the Grand Junction office.
But within SGM?
That's correct.
So the same company?
Same
just
company, yeah.
part of their
staffing.
Yeah.
So we're not even dealing with a local engineer anymore.
There's no stormwater, and this is also, we had architecture and site development as well that was not within their scope here in Durango, their office scope.
So the civil engineers in Durango can't do stormwater?
So from what I understand, they have specialties. So just happens to be that the specialties in stormwater are in the Grand Junction office. And I would have to say that, they've been really good to work with. They understand this was an oversight on their part.
I mean, perhaps you can relay the sentiment of the board to them.
I mean,
I
their
think
contract says one thing, what's the good of a contract if we don't hold anybody to it?
Well, and I understand that there was extra work involved too. It wasn't just
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice to have a heads up on.
Or at least maybe they, in the future, build a contingency into their contracts.
25%.
So we do that alone, so.
That's why I said we're up to 25 on construction.
My only concern about saying no to it is that they are a company we work with. We work with them a lot, and they haven't done this before. So it's not like it's a habitual thing with them. And it's legitimate. It's legitimate cost that they paid for. But again, I don't like, that's kind of their fault, not our fault.
Right.
But they want us to pay for their fault.
19,000 over budget on change orders.
Well, but that other one, she explained
Yeah,
that,
those
so
were
we
grants,
can't,
Yeah,
that's
that was an
grant
addition.
requirements
That was-
that
That's in the
we
grant
asked for
thing.
Yeah,
that.
that was an
Yeah,
additional
we
scope we
basically
asked
for
them to
that.
do. Yeah.
Perfect, okay.
All right. I would entertain a motion. Anyone?
Well, that sucks.
Couldn't find our notes.
We have to have it done.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
and who else is gonna do it? And are they gonna be the same price? Or are they gonna be more
We'd
than
have to
this?
start over.
And we have to start all over. Time, effort, costs that Nicole would have to put towards it.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the additional 7,500 for Cinnamon Heights Stormwater Engineering.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion from the board? Roll call.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yeah. Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Nay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Moving on to our East Mill Gateway Project Award. Jeremy.
Yeah, so, we did have a bid opening for the sidewalk coming off Buck Highway, coming down from East Mill, down past, Church Street, and east. The qualified bid came back at $442,749, with an engineer's estimate of $391,480. So, it's about $51,267 over. If the actual bid tabulations are in your packet, I have them for me today. I think some concrete prices gone up as well, and there's some railing that was a little bit more expensive than the original engineer's estimate. We believe that, the company here, actually, we have some representatives for Fast Track. They did the sidewalk over here in front of Joe Stevenson Park. Did a good job, and we believe that the bid is reasonable, and, we would like to award them for the bid price. I did add, in the recommendations of my memo, there is some additional capital improvement funds that we can offset the cost. In there, I did list, the available funds still in the CIP for streets in 2023. None of that includes any of the stormwater, branch drainage, SUP pass or anything like that.
Okay.
So there's a few dollars available there if you were to choose to award the project as bid and then reallocate a few of those funds to cover the additional cost.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Anybody
So,
else?
yeah, we're looking to award first and foremost to Fast Track and then reallocate
Yeah.
the mentioned.
Yeah, that's the difference there from the engineer's estimate of the $51,267, which, we can
Yeah.
allocate that to the East Mills sidewalk with some of the savings we see.
And so the reallocation should kind of look just like the general fund. What did we approve? What did we spend? What's an additional amount? Jeremy Schultz's comment is correct. There is going to be some extra funds in there. I just think that they've got to spend some time and make sure we've got it as close as
Pinned down,
possible.
yeah.
Any questions from the board?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the additional $51,267 for the East Mill Street Gateway and award Fast Track the project for $442,747.
We have a motion. We need a second.
It's the only bid.
I was trying to read through this and catch up on. I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion from the board?
I just can't believe it's
Roll call.
$1,300 to move signs.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
And Trustee Ah.
Nay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, we've done our.
I just asked the contractor about when would you get started and what do you think your timeline would be?
When would you like us?
Let me get the stretch back on the road before you cut it.
We would like to try and get all the curb and gutter put in and get the asphalt placed before the batch plants do close. They normally close right around Thanksgiving. You know, the sidewalk.
Or can you just step up to the mic, Eric, so we can.
Thank you,
And you
Eric.
can introduce yourself to the board.
American Solar Fast Track Construction. We do want to get all the curb and gutter in before the asphalt plants close, because they normally close right at Thanksgiving. Jeremy would like to have this project completed by December 31st.
So, we would like to go ahead and proceed as soon as we can.
We did ask for an extension on the grant just in
Right.
case the weather does impact. So we're hoping, or we're asking for an extension until June of '24 in case we need it. Because this is paid for by the Revitalizing Main Street grant, which was $150,000. So part of it is paid by that.
So thank you. I think it just helps understand, any Christmas activities or holiday activities. So thank you.
Well, I got it done before the 4th of July.
You did. You did good.
Weather in July. It was. It was.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to our action agenda. Do we have any general public input pertaining to items 5A through I?
Yeah, you're in that one piece of you. You're in that section.
Paul Blatcher from 311 County Road 501, just gonna talk on E&F, with the Schroeder Ditch. I'm the president of the Schroeder Ditch. We've been working a whole lot on that mega project out there. The developer's been great, kinda everything that we've asked, looked at, they've kind of done it all without yelling at us. So that's been really good. As you can see, there's kind of two agreements here. They're gonna pipe that project, or pipe the ditch straight through that project, from 160 to the Parkway. With elevations and everything in there, it's gonna need to do some work in the Parkway. It's our ditch, we flow the water through there, but all the structures in your guys' right of way is kinda your guys' responsibility. So we wanted to make sure we were getting you guys involved with this, make sure your guys' engineers are looking at it and everything's gonna be what you're wanting to have to maintain for, hopefully not for like 50 years, we have to touch any of this stuff. But, so that's why we did a crossing agreement with, the town of Bayfield for the Parkway, piece of this project. There's no cost associated, with the town. It's being passed all through to the, developer. This is the structure that we came up with to kind of make this project all fit. So I'm sure you guys will talk a little bit more about that, but that's why you kind of see two agreements here. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty, they're kind of really wanting to get it going. So after this meeting, if the town's on board with the agreements, I think we're all gonna sign the agreement and have it for the town. Then they'll start work. So, yeah, any questions with this?
No, I mean, it looks like you've been really busy with this. So there's a lot of information here and, is there anything that makes you nervous? I mean, it's a long way to pipe.
Yeah, and it's kind of the first time we've taken it out of here, so we'll abandon it. You guys are familiar with it, that ditch really wraps around there. It's kind of made that project almost impossible to develop. And we've always put pipe kind of in the existing right of way, so this is a new right of way, and it's gonna be on a lot of fill. So that's kind of our biggest worry about it. There's a lot in the contract that talks about it, a lot of,
Yeah.
the contractor that's doing it, he's been here his whole life doing this, so he's really savvy on that stuff. That's about the only thing that we are worried about. Other than that, yeah, I think every other option we looked at, there just wasn't good options. This looks to be the best, and like I said, the developer's been awesome. They've gone above and beyond, we fully support the project, look forward to it for the town of Bayfield.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Evening, my name is Lisa Fuentes. I'm the executive director for Homespun, and I am speaking about the Homespun action agenda item, which is B. Thank you very much for your consideration and ongoing support and funding of Homespun. I wanted to just give you a little bit of just quick statistics. So within the actual town limits of Bayfield, Homespun has funded out $1.347 million of mortgage assistance. I use the terms mortgage assistance and down payment assistance somewhat interchangeably. And that was to purchase $9.4 million of homes and to put a roof over the head of 9
in the Bayfield area, so including, Forest Lakes and whatnot, homes with Bayfield addresses, but not within the actual town limits.
Okay.
We lent about $2.1 million for $14 million of home purchases to 160, the households containing 160 individuals. So, so we are having an impact in this area, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without local support. So thank you very much for your consideration, and appreciate all that you guys did. Happy to answer any questions that you have about homespun or anything. Or
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we know you.
yeah, you know how to find them.
Yeah, we're
You do good
hoping to
things,
make
so
you real busy here
Thank
real
you,
soon.
Lisa.
Thanks,
We
Lisa.
appreciate you.
All right, yeah, and looking forward to working with, have been working with Nicole and Katie on the Cinnamon Heights, but also have been, we are working on an agreement with Charlie and, Brad, regarding the,
Bahega.
River Commons.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
looking forward to all of it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Katie, I have a question. So we've been already paying this?
That's correct. It's
And
for
it's
income
just a renewal of the same
analysis.
amount?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna move on with our action agenda. We have our Right Water Engineers Standardized Water Spreadsheet Analysis.
Yeah, so Jeremy and I will tag team this one. But Right Water Engineers, they're our current town water engineers that we have contract with. And right now, anytime we do an annexation and subdivision process, so like right now, we're working with Pine River Commons, the Haga property. When they have water rights that they want to give over to the town so that we can change those into municipal rights from agricultural rights, Right Water Engineers does an analysis for us. And it's always a case-by-case analysis. They also use a lot of county information to determine our demands for the town because we don't have any current standards in our codes or any policies that list any current standards that the town uses, so we refer to county demands, which probably are a little bit different than what we would see in the town. And so what this would do is this would be paid out of the water fund. They're saying between 3 and 5, so I'm asking not to exceed 5,000. And they'd be putting together a standardized development fee. And it would be a spreadsheet that will help calculate what a project's demand would be based on Bayfield numbers that we'll come up with based on what we know people are using in our water system. So we have that data available to us. And they will actually look at the different types of water rights that are out there, different types of like PRID rights versus Schroeder versus Los Pinos, and make some determinations, almost like a weighted system based on senior rights, because we always want to have the senior rights for municipal water, and weigh those and then determine what appropriate fee would be if they do need to pay water impact, what we call the in lieu fee for water. And so again, all developments that come into town have to either provide us water that we can transfer into municipal water or pay a fee in lieu so that we can go out and purchase water. And that's how we do new development. And so this would streamline it. This would help us be able to pass on to developer and say, this is exactly how we calculate these fees. Right now, we don't have anything like that. And like I said, it's a case by case, and sometimes it's a lot of back and forth. We've been working with the Haga property since May on trying to figure out what their impact fee would be, and we're getting close, but we haven't gotten that yet. So this would hopefully streamline that process for everybody. Jeremy, I don't know if you wanted to add or correct me in anything.
I just think, really what we're hoping to do with this study is standardize the process. It seems like with the amount of development we have coming up in the future, with Peninsula, East Bayfield, we have some Ironton, some of these other projects that are coming up, it'd be really nice to have a standard procedure or process we can hand to developers and say, okay, this is how we're going to calculate our water. Because in the past, when we've had hit and miss subdivisions come in, it's been a negotiation process. And so I think if we can get rid of that, give developers, a path forward and say, well, these are the waters that we're going to accept. You have to have this much for your demand. necessarily be such a back and forth. I think would be helpful for developers as well as the town, just having a clear path forward is going to determine. Or if they pay. You know, there's secondary irrigation systems, and some people are keen to keep that water. So that would standardize that fee as well, what that cost would be for the community.
So somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000, we'll just have this tool. We don't have to pay somebody $254 an hour every time we have one of these.
And right now, we do the developers really do pay right water engineers. So it's a lot of it's just saving the time. And there's just, again, that lot of back and forth takes a lot of mind. I mean, I don't know how many meetings we've sat in and talked about the Haga water, but for me and Jeremy, it would free up even a lot of our time to not have to worry about that if we had a standardized process.
What would be really helpful is we're going to be calculating the town's demand versus pulling county numbers in. So those are going to be different, and we have plenty of data of the water usage that we can calculate those demands. It's more specific to Bayfield rather than using county's numbers and, snatching a few different pieces here and trying to puzzle it together. I think this can be beneficial in the long run.
And is this kind of a one-time fee tool? It's a tool that we don't have to worry about updates and revisions?
At some point, we might need to, but it's supposed to be in a spreadsheet format, so it's
Okay.
something that we may be able, Jeremy and I may be able to calculate it. Mhm.
Right, it's not like a software kind of a thing.
Right.
So say phase one's 30 units of townhomes, we might just be able to plug that in, apply the demand, and be able to say, okay, here's your projected water demand.
Yeah.
for your development. And it's going to be X, Y, Z in dollars or X, Y, Z in water.
Okay. Cool. Glad it's not software.
With IT support.
Exactly.
All right, any questions?
So this wasn't really budgeted.
Well, this will come out of the water fund, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the water fund, we have a general engineering line item. That's still, there's I think $15,000 available in it. So there's dollars available for projects such as this.
Okay.
We're just using right water engineers because they're specialists versus using the town engineer SGM. So all
Gotcha.
right water does is water.
Okay.
Well, and we also, as part of my memo to you, this, us calculating water and developers transferring that to the town was adopted in 1990 through Ordinance 211. But then we have Resolution 344, which was approved in 2015, that actually lists right water engineering as our water engineers to do these calculations. So,
Gotcha.
so we actually have a resolution that set that up for them to be the ones to help us with this.
Legitimate.
And then we, again, the
legitimatize, is it?
developers pay
see that.
their time. We put
Okay.
that back onto the
So
developer.
you have $20,000 in the water fund for engineering. My estimate to the end of the year was only $5,000. So now if you just put that $7,500, you're still not going to get up to the budget number of $20,000.
I mean, 5,000, not 7,500.
Up to 5, yeah.
Okay.
All right, we need a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that the town manager, to approve the right water engineer's proposal not to exceed $5,000 from the water fund to prepare a standardized analysis tool to calculate a water supply development fee.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion from the board? Roll call.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our Homes Fund Professional Service Agreement. I think as
This is just an annual repeat, and this is for Fox Farm Village subdivision. I have a feeling if we start doing income analysis for Cinnamon Heights and Pine River Commons, there may be a fee increase, but first of all, those homes would have to be constructed and ready for occupancy, so.
Gotcha.
all right, any questions, comments?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mayor Tarkington to execute the PSA for homespun.
Second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, Southwest Detox IGA.
So this seems to be like draft for months, and then all of a sudden they want us to adopt it, in November or December. So instead of going through that, if looks like our annual max for 3 years will be $6,075 for each year in those 3 years, and I'm just asking for you to approve that percentage outlined in the Southwest Detox and authorize Mayor Tarkington to execute when we actually get a final draft, which may be a while. For some reason, the tribe, we regurgitate it every time, and it still comes out, Bayfield still has about $6,000 in that agreement, so. But we'll definitely make sure that Attorney Goldman has a chance to review it before the mayor executes it.
Questions, comments? We need a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to participate at Bayfield's percentage outlined in the Southwest Detox IGA and authorize Mayor Tarkington to execute after the final draft has been reviewed by the town attorney and presented as final to her for a signature.
We have a motion on the floor. We need a second.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our Dark Sky Mentor Program.
Yes, so this is, I was approached by Visit Durango, who actually does work throughout the whole county. The La Plata County does help pay for their services as well. And a couple years ago, the state of Colorado passed House Bill 22-1382, which encourages communities to go through the Office of Economic Development to look at this Dark Sky Certification Mentor Program. It's a free process, and what it does is it allows us to look at our codes and determine like how can we get to be more of a dark sky community. Some communities take it all the way and go through the dark sky certification and become a dark sky community. That does have a lot more time and cost to it, but you can also just look at the policies and make some changes to your codes to just get closer to that dark sky compliant. I would say all our newer commercial, which we don't have a ton, but the newer commercial, their lights are required to be dark sky compliant. Older stuff has been grandfathered in, but our residential has no dark sky compliance in our code. So just something to look at. And so Visit Durango's offered to write the application for us and help us through the mentor program. They're doing it for the city of Durango as well right now. Like I said, it's a free process. And so we took this to the Planning Commission last week just to see what their thoughts would be. And there were really two concerns that came out of it. The first one is just to not make it more expensive for residential. Dark sky lighting can be a little more pricey. And so I think just go into the process making sure that we are cognizant of that being a concern. And then the other one is our building codes have a certain level of safety requirements for lighting and just making sure that it's not, that it remains compatible with the safety of our building codes. And so just going through that process, making sure that we know that those are two things that were a priority for the Planning Commission. But otherwise, they're supportive. Somebody had pointed out our slogan is where the stars shine bright. And so looking at how we can continue to make that happen in Bayfield.
After having spent a month in California and not seeing a single star while I was there, I'm happy to support that.
Yeah, it comes with 50 hours of free consultation.
Yeah, if we're selected. So really, this would be just approval to apply, and then if we're selected, we'll go through that. But yeah, it's a free process for us.
Cool.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
And of course, if we make any code changes based on what we go through, they do have to come to Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees for final approval. So you would see any changes that would be made.
Right.
All right, if you're on board, I would entertain a motion. Or if you're not on board, I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to
Madam
make
Mayor.
oh, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve town staff to work with Visit Durango on the application for the Colorado Dark Sky Certification Mentor Program. That's a lot of words.
This isn't right.
All right. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, the Schroeder Ditch Crossing Agreement for Bayfield Parkway.
So yes, and Paul explained these pretty well, but the two separate agreements, the first one, the crossing permit is actually between the town and Schroeder Ditch, and it is, again, for the portion that will be under Bayfield Parkway, which is the town's right-of-way. And right now, there's a culvert, and they're looking at piping it all the way under that, and so the town would be owning that portion of the Schroeder Ditch pipe. So that's the crossing permit, and the mayor does need to sign that, so it does need a direction for the mayor to sign. And then that second agreement, the ditch agreement, is really between the Schroeder Ditch and the developer. However, the town will be listed as a secondary for the bond. The developer does need to pull a bond for this work, and there's a warranty period to make sure that the construction and the pipe works. And Schroeder Ditch will be the primary beneficiary on that bond. The town of Bayfield will be a secondary, so we would work together if we have any major issues with this to pull that bond if we needed to. And so that's why we really do need to be a part of this agreement, and as well as it is a construction project within the town limits. So again, the mayor will need to sign this one as well, so just some direction for the mayor to sign this agreement.
Has legal had a chance to look this over?
I have had an opportunity to review both the crossing agreement as well as the other agreement. Yep, all looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, my questions were answered.
Okay. All right, so we need a motion for the crossing agreement and then the ditch agreement.
We'll do them separate.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the Schroeder Ditch Company crossing permit.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, next is the ditch agreement for Pine River Commons.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the Schroeder Ditch agreement.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, hang on, we're gonna bring it home. Here, we got vector disease control.
Yeah, so I did request them to quote mosquito control. They've done that for us, as far as I know, since 2020 or 2019. They do the whole town, and this is just a 3% increase from their 2023, and then of course they have a adjustment every year. It's similar to the one that we did 3 years ago, and it covers the next 3 years, so 2024, 25, and 26.
And I think I saw something in there that we're, as long as the appropriation of funds are approved annually. So that
Yes.
covers the whole, it's not really a
Yeah.
3-year agreement, but it's annual. So,
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the VDCI mosquito management service proposal for 2024 through 2026.
We got a motion on the floor.
I'll
Second.
Got a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Moreland.
yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Yes, I think
Nicole, they
Rhiannon-
actually have that in their packet.
Yeah, it's
Oh, it's in our binders.
in our binders.
Yeah.
I think Rhiannon should come back and talk to the board.
No, I think we got them
Yeah, they're all in
nicely,
our-
neatly,
yeah.
fancily folded in here.
I
Like,
know,
that was
right?
impressive folding.
All right, East Oak Connection. I sat through this at Planning Commission, so here we go.
Yeah, so I'll try and keep this brief because this is not going to be the last time you hear this conversation. Oh, okay. And so-
Of your ditches. All right.
More ditches.
And so as you all are aware, the town right now is working with SCH Engineering to do the Highway 160 Bayfield Parkway signalized intersection. And so that project is underway. Well, as part of that project, there's a couple other phases. The next phase would be working with this developer when they want to develop to extend Bayfield Parkway north. And then ultimately tie into Oak Drive. So that this development, if they're heading west, they can, or to the schools, they can go this direction. If they're heading south, they can go this direction. Anybody at the schools would be able to come back down to the highway without having to go down Mountain View. So it does add another option for people in that area. And so this project was, SEH did 5 alternatives back in 2019. And I just kind of want to go through these 5 alternatives. And the reason why is we really want to start moving forward with engineering this piece. This is part of our engineering scope of services for SEH, but we just can't move forward because we have 5 alternatives right now. And so we need to narrow it down to an alternative. The other complication with this is, except for one alternative, all of them are on the school property. And so it's not just the town making the decision, but we do need to work with the school district to come up with a decision for this Oak Drive, East Oak Drive alternative. And then the other complication is the school board could be changing over in November. And the board of trustees could have some big changeover in April. And so making some of these big decisions that we would like to move forward with, but kind of working with the timing of all this other change that could be happening very soon. And so really what I want to do is just reopen this discussion with you, get it fresh in your minds. Ultimately, we would like to have a joint meeting with the Planning Commission, the Board of Trustees, and the school board to have one alternative decided upon that we can move forward with. And so there are 5 alternatives. I'm going to go through them very briefly with you because, again, and unfortunately, Adobe changed on me and now I got to figure out how to get myself around. Because they're all a little different, and I'll go through them each a little bit quickly on here. And then, like I said, no decisions tonight, and then I wanted to kind of recap quickly what we talked with the school board recently and with the Planning Commission. So option 1 would be going up the Bayfield Parkway north, coming across, this is all school property, all in here, and then coming up their existing driveway that they use for pickup and drop off for the intermediate school. And so this would require probably some additional right-of-way in here to look at that option. This option, all of these options were weighted by our engineers based on the criteria of right-of-way impacts, level of service, additional impacts to gas gathering lines, additional impacts to the irrigation pipe, and anticipated construction cost, as well as impacts to the school's access. And so this one, and the last page, I don't know if you got this one, but the last page has a big table. I don't know if that was in your
It's
packet.
actually the first page in the packet I printed for him.
So, and this just shows you how they all ranked, and A being really good, F being the worst ranking, and then the weighted points at the bottom just show how they rank in numbers. So you got like one that ranks 40 all the way down to one that ranks 28, and the 28 is the least, I would say, has the most impacts. And so this one was ranked the least because of the amount of impacts to the gathering lines, to the Los Pinos ditch, as well as to the existing access for the school. However, this one, the school board actually is leaning towards because they would like us to push it more north, but they're leaning towards it because it has the least impact to most of their property. It takes up a small piece of their property and not a larger swath of property. So that was what they were leaning towards, again, without making a decision, but just Katie and I went and talked with them a couple weeks ago.
And that was A2, was that correct?
That was, number 1, option 1. So that would have been
That's their
A1.
favorite?
Yeah.
A1.
A1.
They picked the worst one for their
So-
favorite.
Now, A1, when we went, we also went out to the community in the spring. We held 3 different meetings, and, excuse me, we put out a survey, and of the 3 meetings, I had about 10 people show up to each meeting, and I had 9 people respond to the survey. So not a huge turnout. I will say, though, the majority of the people that responded were the ones who would be directly impacted by these alternatives, so I think that was really good to hear from them. And so, and again, I don't know if your last page, I have a community input, I'm not sure if that got on there. If not, for option 1, the weight was 2, so 2 out of the 9 liked that option 1. Option 2, again, comes up Bayfield Parkway North, comes in front of, here's the existing driveway to get out of the intermediate school onto Oak Drive, and then comes up to Oak Drive right in this area. This option proposes to remove a piece of Oak Drive here so that the neighborhood could only go as far as this house on Oak Drive, and they would have to come down to this 2-way access point to get to the new road. But this does keep a lot of that traffic outside of the neighborhood. I know the school district's big concern with some of these access points is they don't know what they're gonna be doing with the middle school property. They know that it's the next school that needs to be redone, and they're not really sure how that's gonna look yet, and their concern is how this could impact their future plans for that property.
Understandable.
But so this is option 2. This one got 3 points from the neighborhood, so it got, there's 2 that got 3 points, and this is one of those from the neighbors that are directly impacted, and I believe it's just because it brought everybody outside of the neighborhood. It wasn't pushing everybody onto Oak Drive. Option 3 is very similar design. The difference here is this is only a one-way northbound, and then Oak Drive would have a southbound one-way to the new Oak Drive. And so again, this keeps most of the traffic out of the neighborhood, but they'll have one northbound, one way in, and one way out of the neighborhood. This one did not get any rankings from the adjacent neighbors.
Has this engineer ever been to a school pickup line?
They gotta speed up the hug and go, get them out.
Yeah.
Apparently.
My husband calls it the drop and roll.
Yeah.
So this option number 4, this one actually, from the engineer's perspective in terms of all of the evaluation criteria, this one weighs the highest. And that's because it really has the least amount of impacts to the gathering line as well as the irrigation pipe, and I'll kind of explain why, because it still crosses them. But with the irrigation, and I know Paul can probably answer this too, you don't really want to cross it or go over it parallel on top of it. You really want to try and cross at a 90 degree as much as you can, because you're crossing the least amount of pipe. And so that's one thing they're looking at, is how many crossings and how close to 90 degrees are those crossings in order to reduce that length that the road is on top of it. Because if something happens, you're tearing up the road. So the least amount of road on top of the pipe, the better. Same with the gathering lines. What's the least intrusive crossing for the gathering line? So this one, out of all of them, except for number 5, which I'll show you next, this one had those least amount of intrusive crossings for those two. But again, I think the biggest concern is just the access to the existing pickup and drop-off. This one actually gets rid of that current driveway and makes it pedestrian only, and this becomes a 2-way in and out of the neighborhood. So that's really the difference on this one. And then, like I said, the angles that it's crossing. And then the last one, option 5, this one did not score the highest because it got an F for right-of-way impacts. And the reason why is this one would actually cost some money because you would be taking out some residences in order for this one to happen.
I like that one. A nice clean line right there.
So the neighbors gave this a
People it
3.
affects
Not the
would
people
not
live
be-
there, I understand
Well,
that
and I
part.
will say, so we've reached out to the 2 owners that this would impact the most, and while, you know, they weren't like, oh, great, let's do this, they were not opposed to having the conversation. So it wasn't an absolutely not, it's probably how much are you gonna pay me kind of conversation is what this one would
I'm
end
just
up being.
thinking the amount of concrete and work, even buying those 1 or 2 neighbor lots there might be more cost effective.
The school staff actually like this one because it has the least impact on the school's property and the school's current access points. The neighborhood actually gave this one a 3 as well, and I think because these 4 neighbors were the ones that showed up the most, and this driveway impacted them
Yeah,
more than
those people
this
were not
road
happy
does.
about any of it.
So
didn't
they
want
liked
that
it
road
better
used.
than the ones that came up here.
Isn't there ways to move that roundabout down and then have that curve
'Cause that road's not
just
currently
kind
being
of right?
used.
I mean, again, these are all conceptual. Until we
Yeah.
get alternative, we don't really want to engineer it. But yes, there's things that we can do with our engineers to look at different options, but we don't want to spend that money until we know which direction we're going.
No, I was just thinking that, I
yeah.
like just that simplicity of that one, if there's a way to.
This
shift
one
it
also
south.
has no impacts to the Los Pinos ditch
Yeah.
or pipe, and it has minimal impacts to the gathering line for the gas facility. So I will say the planning commission was really leaning towards, so I told you the school board was leaning towards option 1. The school staff originally was leaning towards option 5, and the planning commission was leaning towards option 4. So you can see how fun this is becoming for us to try and come up with a solution. And again, 5 options is a lot, so you can have all these different, so that's why we really need to narrow this down, because right now we're going in a bunch of different directions. But the planning commission really leaned on this one because this, based on this is the engineer's recommendation. They looked at the fact that it was least impactful to the neighborhood. So you're not having traffic, pushing
You're not
all the
splitting those
traffic.
2 houses, now it's you have a pedestrian
Right.
lane.
Yeah, they like the
let's
pedestrian
add-
access here.
It looks like it could be a wider road that
Well, they were,
supports more traffic, and when you start building all those houses that are
Exactly.
gonna go in over there, you're gonna need a bigger road for that.
they also want us to look at pushing it and maybe sharing. And I know oil and gas isn't really big on sharing their easements, but maybe there's some negotiation there to possibly push it up here and share some of their existing road to keep it further off the school property, and
That would-
thinking the school might be happier if we can do a solution like that.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
There is a lateral that shoots parallel
Can you-
or right along.
Can you show me?
Can you go up and show?
Yeah, so there's a lateral, so there's a big pump station that gathers right here, and it runs 2 laterals.
through the
One of this is
easement?
abandoned, and then there is one that goes down to the golf property that you're using.
Oh, so then going up higher
Might
doesn't
be
work.
impactful.
Let's do an overpass.
Yeah, so those are the things we'll have to
And
dig
those would be the
into.
ghetto houses
And so
right there
again,
with
I
the
think,
overpass.
at this point, I don't know, Katie, if you wanna like, maybe,
So I think what we're trying to do is get Leon to have a meeting with the planning commission, the board of trustees, and the school board to at least maybe eliminate 3 of them, so we can at least focus, every time we print out all five.
Yeah,
And
it's a pain.
and it's
and then
just,
you have to
it
explain it again.
becomes, even the developer, like, which direction are we gonna go? So we kind of have to at least eliminate, it'd be nice to eliminate 4, but if we could eliminate 3, we could at least start working on, something a little more specific. Right now, it's still a lot of concepts. I don't think the superintendent is interested in doing anything until the school board is sat and oriented. And of course, then if you have an election for the board of trustees, that's in April, so you wait again. And then the planning commission terms are also up in October. So,
Well,
so
we also need to
you
stop
just, I'm trying to encourage Leon, if you get your school board set, could we meet with the 3 boards and make a determination to eliminate 3? And
Or at least
so we
2.
can at least work on 2 or at least 1 and not all 5 of them.
Yeah.
I
And we
mean,
don't
we've
wanna
been doing
keep,
this
yeah,
for 5
reliving
years.
this. Yeah, we don't wanna keep reliving this
No.
conversation.
No, I don't want to either. I'm like, oh yeah, and those people were not happy for that part right there.
So,
Okay.
Something to think about.
yep.
Any other comments or questions on that? We will revisit that.
Yeah.
We have resolution 585 opposing proposition HH.
Yes, whatever that is, yes.
If anyone has any thoughts on that, I know where I stand on it, so.
Can you do an explanation one more time for me on it? Sorry, I know it's late. And I
No
wanna go
worries.
home too.
So the easiest thing for me to do is pull out the work session sheet. The assessor got, it kind of looks like this. This pull-out sheet. So the assessor basically gave us our, and you'll see the $290,000. That's $290,000, what we assume would be with our mill levy income for the town of Bayfield. And they have the 22-23 tax. Then if you go off to the right, and they call it Senate Bill 23-303, but it's really became Proposition HH. And so it would reduce the property tax we collect by $34,000. Now, they say that they're gonna backfill it with Tabor, but the goal of what we're assuming the legislators are trying to do is try to get rid of Tabor, because they want it to go, some of the backfill to go more to school districts. And if you think about, there's, just rounded off to 3,000 people in Bayfield, and if everybody got a share of that $34,000, they're going to get about $11, a little over $11 per person. And if you've been a recipient of the Tabor refund, it's in the hundreds of dollars, not $11 or $12. So, you can see kind of where, and there's a whole bunch of apps that you can go to figure out what your property tax is compared to, your Tabor refund. But it seems like, yeah, there's going to be some tax savings. But the town of Bayfield electorate basically approved a set mill levy. So, and it's kind of like a debrucing in some ways, and I'm not going to get into that. So they've already made that decision that they would like to keep it at one mill levy and not go back and forth. So this is what the assessor's office gave us, so you can see these figures. We're not asking you to, the resolution may say oppose it, but please go look into the facts about Proposition HH. Because when you read the ballot language, it looks like, well, I'm going to save money. But you're saving, $12 really. I mean, granted, there's a difference between commercial and residential, but it's in the long run, you're losing your Tabor refund, which is far more than $12 or $11.
Yeah, it's like they reduce your home value by $30,000 and tax you on that, something like that, wasn't it, what I was reading?
This is
It's
This is the
minimal.
actual tax revenue. Yes, there's an assessed valuation that I'm not going to get into, and it's actually in here. I decided not to go through that.
I
just highly
understand what you're saying. So
recommend
that made sense to me. Thank you.
Anybody and everybody to look into this proposition before you vote. Not here, but in the general election.
I don't think I'm for it.
So if you're okay with us signing on, or I can do it individually, depending on how you feel, or we can go in as a board. You wanna-
Yeah, I don't quite understand your notes here, Katie. Motion to blank.
Well, we have to.
deny or
your
to
decision.
approve.
Yeah.
Deny or
deny.
approve.
So it'd be approve opposing HH.
Yes.
If we want HH to go bye-bye. Yes. HE double, okay.
So we want to approve for it to go away.
Okay. Well, I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 585, opposing Prop HH.
I'll second that.
Thoughts?
I may agree with that, but
Okay.
I also look at it from this standpoint that we're going up with a ballot issue to ask for money from the people. And if we put this in there, it looks like we have a self-interest involved and we're trying to manipulate the voters. And and if they're against the tax to start with, they may go against Proposition H. I mean, it might just turn everything around and go backwards on
And
us.
that's why it's complicated. That's why
It is complicated.
Yeah, because you figure your Tabor refund for a family could be anywhere from like a late eight
But
to
I don't think,
$1,100.
I think a
but-
lot of people are gonna go, well, yeah, what's the board's self-interest in this? Because they're asking us for more
Well,
money
Well,
right
they're not
now.
gonna, I mean, unless they're
Yeah.
watching this or
But
they
this
get
one
involved,
we
they're
can
not gonna
actually
know.
talk
Yeah.
about, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's not in our thing, so we can say the reason why.
Why? Because it
Whereas a-
doesn't save them any,
Yeah.
really any money.
just
It
throwing
impacts
caution
the
to the
town even
wind.
more.
So I think there's an education piece that needs to be with it. So, I think in our notes, like if you say yes and you have a comment, I mean, I would add that comment so that our notes reflect it.
I think there needs to be a lot of
Minutes, yes,
education
thank you.
around this.
I'm tired.
A lot of education, because people think, oh, we're saving taxes, but they're gonna save $11. That's it. And their
I
Tabor
understand.
refunds are much
I'm
more.
not arguing that
Yeah.
point at all. I'm just
It
saying,
makes sense. Voters are, you
we
never
could be
know.
like twisting voters' minds
So
around without
give me a
even
second
trying.
to- After we all
It's,
vote.
it's
for-
in the same
for
vein
notes.
of thought of, removing the lodger's tax. We didn't want to inundate somebody with more taxation, but now this, I see where
This is
Tom's
already
coming from,
gonna
is it?
be on the, yeah, this is already on the ballot. It's not.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's, you guys can, we don't have to sign this. We don't. I mean, I
I'm not
could,
saying, I didn't say I was opposed. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out
Okay.
there
So-
that,
well, we
With
have a
this-
motion out there. We have a second. So we can take a roll call.
Yeah, and it just, shows the town's stance against it as a whole, but it's not like in the ballot language or anything, right? It just, we're just making a public stance that we're against it.
Basically, they are
Yeah.
looking for municipalities to sign on to this. I mean, it's very strongly opposed at the
so
state
who's
level.
behind this HH?
There was a legislator, CML had 3 days to review it before it went to a vote. And I'm sorry, I don't know the sponsors of the bill.
Boulder.
Senators, yeah. And all of our tax assessments have gone up. Yes, they have gone up. But then you look at all of the things that Tabor does, nobody understands what that all means, residential and commercial and that balance there, Gallagher and everything that has to do with property tax. And I think it's unfortunate, and it's likely to pass. I'm just going to say that when you read the ballot language, I would, when I first read it, I was like, well, what's wrong with that? But I didn't quite understand the whole background until they're trying to use your Tabor refund.
So they're trying to eliminate Tabor.
That's what they're trying to do.
So they have Tabor, your Tabor refunds are based on basically how much you paid in, which if you as a voter vote for HH, you get the average amount where everybody gets the same. So it's a way of like, oh, well, if you want, they tied the two together, and I think that was massively wrong. They should not tie what your Tabor refund is to your property taxes. There's too much emotion, but I think it was a sneaky way for them to try to get people to basically give them their Tabor money back.
People hate
The state government
property
hates
tax.
Tabor.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. And they're just trying to find a way to get rid of it. So it's definitely, we don't have to sign this now. We can wait, right?
You can just deny it. I would just deny the
We
resolution.
have a motion already on the table. We have a second to approve resolution, so you can vote.
All right.
If you,
I'm just thought I would bring
Yeah.
that up.
No,
No,
your makes
but it
good
was-
sense,
yeah.
Absolutely does. So thank you for.
so we'll take a roll call.
Okay. Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Sorry.
I didn't say I was
No,
against it. I told you right now
I
I
like
wasn't
when you
against
speak up,
it.
Tom. I
I
think you
know,
got,
he doesn't do it often, so when you
you
do
got
it.
stuff to say. You got to say it, man. I like it.
Definitely one
We've got a
we
bunch
need
of
to-
stuff coming up. It is in your packet.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that? If not, it is 8:55. I will adjourn this meeting.
Yes. I think Tabor is HH's one, we need to be very vocal about spread the love, but Denver's gonna screw us.
You're also looking.
Don't they always?
What, you wanted these binders?
I'll just, you should only be allowed to vote on that if you're a property owner.
Okay, I don't know about that.
I do, because I wanna look at this
Yeah, I'm
more.
gonna,
Oh, yeah. Oh, for that.
yep.
Oh, did you get it? Because you're not